Go. And we are recording. Everybody, welcome into a brand new episode here of the podcast. My name is Demetrius Covert. I am the host of the podcast here. I'm here with my good friend, Lawrence Washington. Super excited to have the opportunity to spend just a few moments with him and just hang out and talk. But it's also going to be an opportunity for you to be inspired by what is said here over the next 45 minutes to an hour. I ran into Lawrence just to keep this as authentic as possible. I ran into Lawrence for the first time on a podcast that I was invited onto, and we were hanging out and we were all talking. And I saw him and I was like, man, I just really like this man's demeanor, right? I just like the way that he goes about doing his stuff. He's within himself, he's composed, different things along those lines. And then we had a chance to be at a men's event that he was hosting, and him and two of the other guys allowed me the opportunity to come and hang out with them and be a part of that men's event. It was a great opportunity just to sit and hang and talk. And I was excited about that. And so, man, I'm just really excited about having Lawrence here tonight because Lawrence, his whole thing is Lawrence is an inspirationalist, basically. And so, after this, of course, we're going to tell you where you can find him and how you can connect to his social media and the messages that he sends out there. But it's all positive. It's all pushing you forward. But what I want to do is I want to give you a behind the scenes look at how all of this inspiration started coming to the forefront and how he became this person and or started to fulfill this even more, because just prior to us getting on, he was giving me some of the insight and some impetus into, something that his mom had said to him, and he might share that. I don't want to share that. He might share that. But Lawrence, man, welcome. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me here for tonight. Tell everybody a little bit about you, wife, kids, where you from, what you do, different things along those lines.
All right, man. First and foremost, man, thanks for having me, man. I don't take things like this lightly. I love being a part of conversations that's going to, empower me. It's going to push me forward. It's going to push somebody else forward. So first and foremost, man, thank you. I'm glad to be a part of this, man.
Man, you're welcome.
Yeah. So like a little bit about myself, man. I'm 38 years old, 38, man. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
Moved to Flint, Michigan when I was 18 years old. Lived in Flint, Michigan for about 12 years before we moved here to Arizona about seven and a half years ago.
Okay.
Grew up in a two-parent household. My mother and my father, they was married for 33 years before my mom went to heaven seven and a half years ago in 2017. I've been married for about it's going on 17 years, so 16 and a half years. It'll be 17 in August. So we've been married. I got married when I was young. I was a baby, 20 years old, man. I was 20 years old, wasn't even thinking about the vows that I was saying out of my mouth. But but God's grace is real, man. I am just an example of how God is real. God's grace is real. I believe my life has been set up to just prove to all the naysayers that God is real. And so me and my wife, man, we've been married since 16 and a half years. I met her my second year in college. We met. I knew about her for 2 years before we met.
Okay.
Yeah. Her mom was actually my mom's best friend at high school. My mom was raised. Yeah. So my mom was raised in Flint, Michigan. And then she met my father, who's from Chicago. My mom moved to Chicago and lived in Chicago, all my life pretty much. And then my father became a pastor in Flint, Michigan. Fast forward, we moved to Flint, Michigan. My mom reunited with her best friend from high school at the time. My wife's mom the wonderful Beverly Ross, she just passed away as well about
Oh, wow.
2 years ago too.
Okay. Okay.
And
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. And they reunited. She was she was actually like out there in the world, and my
Mm.
mom brought like helped to bring her back to Christ. And then we found out that she had a daughter, which is my wife, Latoya. So fast forward 2 years later, man, I met my wife, and I saw me with her in the future.
Yeah.
And after praying and fasting, and that's about it. I made that decision to, say, why wait when I found my soulmate? Dang, that rhymes. But yeah, so got married. We have 6 beautiful children. Uh, God has blessed us, man, with 5 girls and 1 boy. My
Oh,
son is my son is the youngest. That's the reason why we have 6. That's the main reason why we have 6. I am a very determined individual. I wanted a boy that
one
bad.
way, huh?
I
Okay.
I kept trying. I kept trying. It, wasn't thinking about nothing else. I wasn't thinking about the responsibilities, all the stuff I need to have. Just wanted a boy. I'm thinking about it now.
Right. Right.
At
Right.
38, it's like, oh Lord, I need to get my stuff together.
Man. Man.
But yeah, we have six children, and and as far as like who I am just a man who just loves life. I love learning. I am obsessed with growth and development. I love purpose. I love to discover more things about myself that I didn't know before. I like to 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 stay in that lane. I love just being real. I've been motivating people probably all my life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a really bad stuttering problem when I was younger, and I was so afraid to speak in front of people. But I
Mm.
really love motivating people, so I got so angry at being afraid of speaking in front of people because I wanted to motivate people. So I forced myself on stage, and I started doing spoken word poetry, and I became a spoken word poetry artist for like 10 years of my life because I forced myself to do poetry that motivated people. I do
Mm.
motivational poetry, uh, mainly spiritual poetry, and yeah, I just love motivating people, man. I, I motivate and empower people through different ways, man. As a
Yeah.
professional mentor, as a behavior coach, I trained and developed other behavior coaches, working with the at-risk youth for about 15 years of my life. Uh, I worked at the county jail. I've done prison ministry. I wrote a book. I just love to push people forward, man. That's just who I am, man.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why I wanted you here, Lawrence. That's the reason why I felt like we need to have this conversation. We need to be able to help some people. We need to be able to encourage some people. And I think people just need to get a dose of you. That's all,
Hmm.
in some other spaces and stuff like that. You have your own spaces as you alluded to, but I share and echo with you a lot of the stuff that you're talking about because that's who I am, right? So I'm all about, hey, how do I actually, when people encounter me, what's the thing that I want them to leave with after they encounter me? I want
Hmm.
them to feel, right, like, hey, I just encountered somebody who deposited something in my life, who's ultimately going, that deposit is either a beginning, it's a middle, or it's the end of something. And it's going to allow me to flourish in some way, shape, or form, right? And it's not that I'm the end of that thing for that particular individual, but just like you said, like various different ways. So I think that it's important for people to hear from people like yourself. And so let's dive into some of the really tough things, man, that have happened, things that I've heard you say on the other podcasts and that were inspiring to me. And let's see how we can help some people because I know the loss of your mom was really devastating to you. You had shared that, and I know that people have either lost a mom, a dad, somebody that they just love in their life and different things along those lines. Can you just talk to us a little bit about the impact of that loss, and then we'll talk about how you started to pull yourself forward after that loss. Can you just give us some insight on the impact of that loss for you?
For sure. Yeah. So let me start off with just talking about my mama.
Yeah.
She was an amazing woman. Um, I believe that the pain of me losing her, right? It is it's only great because of how great of a mom she was. You know, how great uh God God's goodness, is toward me to bless me with such a great mom. So she, me being the only boy, I got two older sisters. I have a younger adopted sister as well. But growing up, it was just me as the only boy, and I love my mama. She was the one woman who understood me the most. She always knew what to say. I say that she was a woman before her time because she was full of so much wisdom and
Mm.
insight, and she would say things, and she had such a close relationship with God. She talked about him as if he was like physically like right there in the room. So
Yeah.
so she really deposited that her and my father, you know,
Yeah.
they really deposited that type of faith in me. But she was always there. You know, I was so close to my mom that even when I was younger, I I I like felt so much empathy, even when she dealt with insecurity.
Mm.
Like back when I was in like kindergarten, first grade. Like I remember when she would like talk bad about herself, like, I'm gaining weight or I'm this, and I would literally like really take that to heart. And I would
Mm.
probably spend like 5-10 minutes like telling my mama, like, no, you are beautiful, you are amazing. Like that, like stop telling yourself that,
Yeah.
let's enjoy this honey bun together. That was our favorite snack, man, honey buns. So, and and I remember at times as I gotten older, even when she would like trip or like hit her toe, I would get like really angry because I did not want to see my mom like hurt, like suffer
Yeah.
or hurt. Uh, so I'm sharing that to say it's kind of like the backstory of the impact of of me dealing with the reality of my mom
Yeah.
like transitioning to heaven, right?
Yeah.
So fast forward, my mom had pulmonary lung disease.
Mm.
So in other words, her lungs was failing, and the doctors didn't know why. She never smoked a day in her life. You know,
Mm.
that played a huge part of the impact of me losing her because I felt like it's just not fair that my mom has to suffer over something that she had nothing to do with, right?
Mm.
Um, so when I learned that my mom was dealing with this sickness years before she passed away, I began to go into this to a stage of denial. I didn't want to face the reality of her, like like my mom is dying right in front of my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me to even say that now, there's no way that I would even allow those words to come out of my mouth
Yeah.
during that time, right? So I avoided even talking about the possibility of her, going to heaven.
Yeah.
Me being a minister as well, I was preaching at the time, and you know, God would God would try to prepare me. He gave me dreams showing me that it was going to get worse before it got better.
Mm.
And I would take those dreams and I would flip it and I would preach against it. I would say, the Lord showed me that it's going to get worse before it gets better. That means that he's going to heal you, here on this side of heaven. And I would try to get the whole church to declare with me. And I would
Yeah.
preach and I would declare those words,
Yeah.
right? But at the same time, I was just living inside of, denial.
Yeah.
And my mom knew that, you know, and like the reason why I say she knew that is because there was a time when, me being who I am, which is,
Mhm.
Mr. Optimistic, I'm always motivational, and I will always for our one-on-ones, I will always push and push towards prayer. Let's pray. We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about the word. We're gonna say
Yeah.
what the Lord say. And my mom looked at me one time and said, "Can we just talk?
Mm.
Like, do we always have to pray? Like, can I just talk?" And
Yeah.
at, and looking back on it now, I knew that she knew where I was mentally,
Yeah.
and um, uh, that's when she had a conversation with my sisters and my dad, and told them to stay close to me when that time comes, because
Yeah.
she knew where I was. I was just avoiding that reality. So then it came close to my mom leaving
Mhm.
leaving us, right? She was on the list to receive a lung transplant.
Mhm.
And while she was on the list for 3 years, I wrestled with moving to Arizona because I felt like God spoke to me clearly. He spoke to me so clearly that I wrote it down, and I couldn't deny it. So God told me to move to Arizona for 3 years. I rejected that instruction, and but for 3 years I had no peace. I was preaching, I was working a full-time job, doing the things that I love. On the outside looking in, everything looked good, but I had no peace. And then I finally made the decision to move to Arizona. And my mom did she was hurt by it.
Yeah.
She didn't want me to leave because she knew that her time was running short.
Right.
But I was in denial. So I wasn't accepting. I was like, man, I'm gonna follow God. I'd rather follow God because that's what matters the most. Like,
Yeah.
God honors our obedience over, everything else, over the
Yeah.
way we feel. So I made that decision just knowing that if I follow God, of course he's gonna heal my mom the way that I want him to. That was my mindset. So I gotta follow God. So I moved to Arizona in July 2017. My mom died in
Mm.
November 2017. And she died 1 week after they found a lung for her. They
Wow.
found a lung 1 week before she died. But
Wow.
but the devastating part, the reason why another reason why the impact was so great was because 1 week before my mom passed away, they found the lung, and then right before they sedated my mom, and after they she couldn't eat for 24 hours, for the operation. So
Yeah.
they drained all of her energy. She had no more strength left. And then right before they sedated her, they found out the lung was no good.
Oh, wow.
And the first thing that my mom said, that had all the nurses in the room crying, the first thing she said was, "Can you check the other organs to make sure they are good for the next person?"
Wow.
She received that devastating news after we found out. We celebrated. I FaceTime my mom. It's like, "Mama, I told you God was gonna heal you." So
All good, man. It's all good.
yeah, so
Man.
and
Wow. Wow.
so yeah, so
Wow.
she had no more strength after that. She never recovered.
Wow.
after that heartbreak, and 1 week later, my mom died. She didn't die from what the doctor said that she was going to die from, which was lung cancer. She actually died from a heart attack. She could, I mean, her heart was broken, you know? And
Man,
I, and I was here. I was in Arizona. I
wow.
wasn't I wasn't there for my mama, and she knew that I was going to have to live with that. She knew that I was going to take it the hardest, and I know she prayed. And then when she died, I started experiencing thoughts that I used to help other children overcome.
Yeah,
Thoughts, thoughts of giving up, suicidal thoughts.
yeah,
There, there's no way I could be beneficial like this to my wife, to my children. Like there's no way I can function as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a son, and with this much of a heartbreak. Yeah. At the time, I experienced physical pain, like stomach. I felt it in my chest. I
yeah,
never experienced that much grief and pain and anger and strength. I was angry from the strength because before my mom died, I used to always say that if God take my mama, He might as well take me too.
mm,
I said that,
mm,
and then when she went to heaven, it was like I started experiencing a peace that surpassed my own understanding.
mm,
Strength, like God's word, those words that I preached, it started ministering to me. And
yeah,
but at the time I was angry because I'm like, I don't want
sure.
no strength. I don't want this strength. And then I started getting angry at my mama. Like all these years she been instilling all this strength in me for this time. Like I just want my mama back. So that's what my headspace was.
Yeah,
And but that's when God started ministering to me. I mean, he just started. I I've heard his audible voice loud and clear. At I mean, I was in my darkest moment. Like I I, I didn't care about anything. I didn't care about nothing. We
yeah,
were we were flying back home for my mom's funeral, and on the plane experienced so much turbulence. I've I've never experienced this much turbulence. Like the plane was literally like shaking, and people on the plane was like yelling and screaming, and I was sitting there just like, let's go, like yeah, I'm about to go see my mom.
mm,
And that's
wow,
what my headspace was. No, like instantly the fear of death just left because the pain was that great, and that was the start of that was the beginning of my journey towards healing.
man,
That was the impact.
wow. Um, wow. Hmm. Now I need you to give me a minute. Um, man. So I'm just gonna say this because I want to keep this man about our conversation, man. My mom passed away 4 years ago,
Yeah,
and
sorry to hear that, man.
Man, you brought up so much stuff in there because that feeling, I don't think people, until they experience it or they know or they have that relationship, man, that they know those feelings, the depth of those feelings. And so, first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing that and the vulnerability. I know that's going to help somebody here, and it's okay if they're going through. Um, I'm not over mine yet, so that's real. Like I'm not.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not there, right? I'm not. Uh, I still hear her voice sometimes when I'm doing something. Um, I remember a laugh or something along those lines, and so I think it's okay, but it also is a part of my reason for doing what I do. And so, man, I'm grateful for you sharing that for sure. So you went through this incredibly challenging moment in time, and you know the suicidal thoughts and different things along those lines. And I love you said it started the journey of healing. It impacted other things in your life too. Um, how did you navigate the other areas of your life that it impacted as well, even including the kids that you were working with and home and your kids? How did you start the pathway to that place of healing? What was the work that you were doing?
Yeah. So when I moved here to Arizona, God gave me one instruction. He told me to focus on personal development, self discovery, and to connect with like minded people. So that's when God taught me that I can create the environment that I need. I
Yeah,
didn't know I didn't know that before I moved here. I didn't know that I can create my own environment, right? So that's what I did. I just went off of that one instruction. He didn't tell me nothing else. He just said just focus on. So before my mom died, I got into a personal development program. I learned how to walk in self awareness. I started discovering things about myself. I started to discover why I became the person that I became,
hmm,
which is a person who was not vulnerable. I was not vulnerable before my mom died.
okay,
I, I was not this person. I
hmm,
was I always held in my emotions. That's why I became so good at what I did. That's why I became so good as a behavior coach. As you know, I trained other behavior coaches not to take nothing personal, right? Because
yeah,
I was good at bearing my emotions and not
yeah,
being connected to that. And for just about 30 years of my life, I was that person
mm,
who people got close to, but I never got too close to them. You know,
okay,
people would get close to me, but yeah, I would. So, and so my wife had to deal with that person. You know, our marriage suffered lack of intimacy. Like I was frustrated with my wife for not being affectionate and being, you know, towards me. And then I turned 30 and I went on my self discovery journey. And then I was like, wait a minute, how can she be affectionate towards somebody who's not even vulnerable,
yeah,
who refused to even let her in?
yeah,
And so during that space and time from June to November, my mom died November 17th. And during that space, I really just focused on learning me. And I learned why I became that type of person. And
okay,
once I learned that, I was able to instantly become free from.
mm,
So I got an instant breakthrough. I learned how to place the past in the past. I learned why I decided to become that type of person. So And then I finally cried. You know, I remember like praying to God, asking God, Lord, please, like help me to cry. Like, yeah, I used to like yell at God, like, why can't I cry?
Yeah.
I used to try to cry and nothing would come out
Wow.
because I haven't even grieved from the loss of loved ones that I lost before my mom passed
Yeah.
away. You know,
Yeah.
so then when I finally cried, that's when I actually cried. Probably I think it was maybe 2 weeks before my mom died.
Mm.
I was sitting in the room, you know, with like other people. It's like a personal development session.
Yeah.
It's called Landmark, and within that session, they had us to really dig up those emotions that I've
Okay.
buried, and I remember crying for the first time
Mm.
in a long time. I I cried so hard that it was kind of like a newborn baby cry. I've never experienced myself crying like that. So, caught me off guard. But
Wow.
so I had a chance to tell my mama about that. And then when my mom died, I, that's that's when I was able to really heal
Yeah.
because by that time I was okay with just like not being okay.
Okay.
I didn't have to hold back
Anything.
anything. My emotions, I just let it out and just let it be. Right. So
So
um
you became open. You became more vulnerable with your wife. You became more
yeah.
connected to the relationship with your wife. That ultimately led to you and your marriage then being strengthened, uh, and you being able to go from there. Um, do you think without this event, that you maybe wouldn't have turned a corner?
No. Well, I know without that event that I would not have recovered the way that I did.
Okay.
Because being vulnerable is something that you have to like redevelop it. You know, well, for me, I lost it, so I became so good at not being vulnerable that I had to redevelop the skill or the ability and the willingness to to be vulnerable again. So if if I didn't go through what I went through right before my mom passed away, I would not have recovered the
Yeah.
the same way. I probably would have just spent the next 30 years of my life really closed off,
Yeah.
really angry. Um, but instead, I was okay with like crying out to God, letting God know exactly how I feel, and that's when he started speaking to me more and started telling me more things I can do. But that really impacted my family because I think it kind of impacted my family in a good way
Okay.
because by this time after my mom passed away, I wasn't holding back. I was letting them know where I was, and which then it allowed me to allow them to help me heal.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
So, yeah. So I allowed them to support me. My children was with me on the floor in our living room, and they all was embracing daddy as I cried like a baby. Like
Mm,
like I believe that brought us closer, right? That
yeah.
that showed them, you know, that it's okay to be human.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to be human,
Yeah.
and but it's not okay to give up.
Man,
That was the message.
I love that. It's not okay to give up. I'm going to use that as a transition point for us right now and talk about the inspiration that you do. Lawrence J. Inspired. That's what it is, right?
Hmm.
This is who you are. This is what you do. So inspiration, man. Talk to people about that. Tell people about inspiration for you and why it matters for them in their lives.
Yeah, I think an inspiration to me, I think it just starts with just having a really uh, a real authentic relationship with the person that created you.
Mm.
I ain't talking about your mom and daddy. I'm talking about I'm talking about with God, right? The Our creator, right? Learn what helped me even endure the darkest moment of my life was really establishing a real close, authentic relationship with God. When I gave my life to Christ, when I was in college, on campus, I spent weeks, months, and just learning about God,
Yeah.
studying His behavior, studying how He dealt with His children, how
Yeah.
His children dealt with Him, right? And during that time, I developed such a strong anchor in just Him, right? So uh, that's first and foremost, and then
Sure.
secondly is with yourself, like knowing who you are, allowing God to help you know more of who you are, knowing your purpose, knowing why you are here, right? Um, knowing uh why you do the things that you do and being okay with learning why you do the things that you do, right? And
Yeah.
and just walking in that discovery of, of yourself, learning how to, have mercy with yourself, how to have
Yeah.
grace, how to love yourself, because from that causes you to just be able to impact others,
Man.
so yeah.
First of all, let me say this to you. I really love that, man, because I grew up in a denomination. I'm not about to dog any denomination. That's not what I'm about. I grew up in a denomination, though, man, and in a place where I was told to kind of ignore myself, ignore how I felt, ignore how I see things, ignore. And man, I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, hold up, like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If I don't value who I am, then how in the world do I bring value to other people if I
Hmm.
don't value who I am, right? Um, and if I don't have this love for myself, for my life, which then guides me in my character and my morals and my integrity, right? And the things that I do, then how is it possible for me to show up for other people? One of the biggest challenges I have with many of the clients that I work with, man, is that they're always saying, well, I just want everybody around me to be happy while they're miserable. And my thought process with them is that what you're really doing is you're giving people two things. You're giving people fumes because that's all you have left. And you're giving them a presentation of something that's not real because you haven't cultivated that acceptance and love for you and that God loves you just like you are, that you're blessed, right? That you're a formidable person, that you have something to lend, that you belong in rooms that you're in, that you deserve for somebody to see you, somebody to hear you, all these kind of things. And so I wasn't taught that, man, like around my faith. And so I stepped away too, kind of in 2015, man. I actually stepped away from pastoring, period. And I went and got certified, man, as a coach. And then I got certified in cognitive behavioral therapy because I wanted to understand, Lawrence, the deeper parts of how God had put us together. And I was sitting up, man. I started, planted two churches, and I thank God for them. But Lawrence, I constantly saw the same people right at the end of service, right? Hey, if you need prayer, come out. We have people on our prayer team. Same people, man, just cycling through the prayer, just cycling through the prayer. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get it. But we were praying this prayer last year, right? And so the people on the team, when we had staff meeting, they would come and tell me, oh, yeah, I prayed for such and such. This is going on and so on and so forth. And I'm like, man, we that same thing last year. And so I started to realize that there are deeper things with people. So my coaching certificate came through a Christian coaching program because I wanted to incorporate my faith and what the Bible actually says to us regarding our value, our worth, and all these other kind of things, and then be able to help people, assist people, right? And so, man, this was eye opening to me. So I'm so glad to hear you say that about this landmark. I don't know if that's still around. I never heard of it, but man, hopefully you could share that with some people who maybe could really truthfully benefit from going to a program like that. In fact, the lady who was my trainer, I'm still friends with her. The lady who was my trainer. So what she said to me, Lawrence, she said this to me. We got done with training one day, and this is a 5-month course that I was in. So we got done with training one day, and before we got off, she had inboxed me because we were on a Zoom, and she was like, "Hey, can I get a few minutes with you after the rest of the class leaves?" And I was like, "Sure, no problem." And man, when everybody else got off or whatever, she looked me right in my face, and she kind of like just read my mail, and she was like, there's deeper things in you. God's not done with you in this space. And she said, what you're doing here, you need to take back and then put that back into the people. I feel like you're doing the same thing. I feel like, in fact, there was a question that I had on here. And so I'll ask it to you because I was getting ready to say it, but I'll ask it to you. When you look back at all of this, do you feel like all of this was just a part of the greater purpose that God had for your life? Can you see that now? Do you see that? Do you feel that way? Like all of this stuff that I walked through, that I went through, the stuff even with my mom, God had this thing that He was trying to move Lawrence to, so that when people encountered him, uh, they would get the best of him.
I just started seeing it about a month ago. I'm 38 years old. I just started seeing it for about a month ago. It's like
Man,
it
you
just
gotta talk about that. Talk
it
about
it just clicked. Like I instantly like transformed from just always being in that space of feeling like I'm j- I'm just not where I should be.
it.
You know, always in that space like I'm just not where I should be. And it's only because, you know, God shows us a vision. What's a vision? A vision is simply a picture of the future.
Yeah.
So, but that vision, when He shows us the vision, just like He showed, you know, Joseph, right? He showed Joseph a vision before Joseph was developed
Yeah.
mentally. So when you show that, when we receive that vision and we're not fully developed or just mature enough, we, for me, I was always in that space of just, yeah, like I'm doing things in life, right? I'm coaching my son's basketball team. You know, that's something I always wanted to do, right? I'm I'm working, transition from being a GM for a leadership company because I was working like a lot, but I was spending more time outside, away from home than I was at home. So I
Mm,
transitioned. So now I'm at a job right now. I took a huge pay cut, but
hmm.
I get to work from home 3 weeks out the month. Um, so I'm at home more. I'm spending
Yeah.
time more. I'm available. I got time to really build my life from within now, right?
Sure.
Uh,
Sure.
I get to learn how to be a general manager at home, you know.
Mm,
So, but even during that, before a month ago, I was always just uneasy. Like I was so down on myself. Like you should be somewhere. You should be further.
Yeah.
You're in your late 30s. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And robbing myself from embracing where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's like a month ago, it just clicked. Like, wait a minute, I'm right where I'm
Where you're
supposed to be.
supposed to be.
I'm right on track. Like, what are you doing? Like, go to sleep at night. You know,
Yeah, man.
like enjoy. Sit down somewhere. Go sit in the sauna. So, like, just embrace where you're at. Like, I'm on the journey, the path. So I just got that, man, just a month ago. It just clicked, man. I believe it came from just always being in proximity of like-minded people.
Sure.
Being a part of a church that is all about, thriving, Thrive City Church. So just like being a part of a community, being active in the children's ministry, um, you know, t- I get a chance to teach first through fifth graders, like teach them
Right.
about Jesus, and like these kids are giving their life to Jesus, man, like right there on the spot. Like, I want to know more. Like, I want to follow Jesus. So
I
it's
love
like, yeah. So just being active and just doing the things that God put in my heart to do, knowing that at the same time my mind was still struggling, but eventually it just clicked, man. I just yeah,
it.
just
Man,
clicked.
I love that. I love that. Um, Here's a question I have for you. A couple of more questions before we wrap up. What would you tell your younger self from what you've experienced today? What would be the thing you would look back and tell the younger Lawrence? If he was sitting on this podcast with us, what would you say?
Mm. Everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Like,
Yeah,
it's going to be okay. Yeah.
I love it. Um, so using your life to inspire other people, and like you said, now you get to spend more time at home. You got flexibility. You can make more of the investment there. You can still stay in your lane in terms of your gifting, your work, the things that you have been granted to do. And you're just taking the time, man, to say, wait a minute, which is a huge thing, by the way, to be able to say, wait, I think I need to be somewhere else. But in fact, I'm really where I'm supposed to be right now. You know what that reminds me of? You use Joseph, right, out of Genesis. And one of the things that Joseph says in Genesis 50:19 is this. We love to quote Genesis 50:20, where he says, what you all meant for evil, God meant for good. But we gloss over verse 19. Joseph looks at his brothers, Lawrence, and he says to them, I am in the place of God. He said, you sold me because of a dream that I had.
Mm-hmm.
What you don't realize is that you were the catalyst to get me to the very place I'm standing right now.
Wow.
He says to them, I am in the place of God. In other words, everything that I went through, you selling me going to prison, me coming out of prison, me being accused, going back to prison, coming out, giving the word of the Lord to the king, and then being released again for a new word that I was able to give him, and then being put over the entire land above the people who are native to this land, and I am not. You have put me in. He says to them, he says, oh, no, see, there's no bitterness towards me. I'm not interested in harming you because I'm in the place where God wants me to be.
Wow. Wow.
I think this is such a powerful thing, man. And that's what I'm hearing you say. So for those of you who are watching, I want to share this with you or who watched wherever you caught us in this particular episode. If you missed any part of this, we started with Lawrence's story, who he was, his move from Chicago to Flint, Michigan to Arizona, the subsequent loss of his mother, his challenges that he went through, the emotional challenges, which got me, the weight of them, they got me. His ability to then rise from that, his own personal internal work, because that's what he did. He did internal work. He went to a thing called Landmark. He got the work done. He discovered himself, his value. Not that God in any way, shape, or form wasn't speaking that value to him, but it was a value that he had to see and walk out every day. That he was like, hey, how do I practically put this out here? Spiritually, he had it down pat because he was like, I pray, I believe, I trust. It's us recognizing every day when we look at ourselves in the mirror, like, hey, listen, I belong. I'm valued, and there's a space for me. There's a place for me in the earth, and I think this is a beautiful thing. And so now we've gotten to a place where he was talking about the fact that he's exactly where he's supposed to be. There are those of you who are watching this, and you're thinking to yourself, am I where I'm supposed to be? This is the last thing I want you to share with everybody, Lawrence. If they don't believe that they are, what advice would you give?
If you don't believe that you are at the place that you are
supposed to be,
I would tell them that they can choose to believe that, or you can choose to believe the opposite, right? God is not going to override your belief system. He won't, right? So I would say to a person that let's like really look at the reason why you believe that.
Yeah.
And I would help them dig into the reason why. And then once we discover what that reason is, we can throw it right back to where it came from. And then we can move forward just like God created us to do. God created us to be like him, right? He created us in his image and after his own likeness. And then he showed us what that looks like in Genesis chapter 1. In the first verse, it says, in the beginning, God created. God created. So I would tell a person like that, let's actually recreate. Let's recreate from a place of I'm pausing because I don't want to sound too complex because it's
no, go ahead.
Yeah, because
to share your heart is fine.
Yeah, because when God created, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Right? There was nothing there. The Bible just says that in the beginning, God created. Well, what was there before the beginning? It was God. So God created from a place of nothing, you know. So he let us know that we have the same ability and to create the life that we want, the life that God desires for us to have.
Yeah.
To use that same belief of you feeling like you're stuck, because that's a belief. You believe you're stuck. Use that same ability to believe that you can create a life that produces you not to feel stuck.
Right where you are.
Right where you are. Like right you don't have to there's nothing that you have to do or No, you just have to choose to be, you know, just choose to be a person that doesn't feel stuck. And like sit back and ask yourself, what does that person look like? If I was to wake up tomorrow morning, I'm a person that's not stuck. What are the first 5 things that I would do? And you write those things down and you do it. That's it. Do
it, man. I love it.
it.
Listen. I hope you all heard this. It is what it is. You more than likely are where you're supposed to be. You probably feel like you lost some stuff along the way, but I have to be honest with you. All transitions require loss because some things that were in the old space with you can't go into the new space with you. And basically, what Lawrence has said to you is this: is where you are, cultivate it, and just simply cultivate it, develop it, build it, grow from it. Let it be something that allows you to be able to step into life in a strong way and recognize that, you're probably either exactly where you need to be or very not very far off from where it is that you're supposed to be. Any of the adjustments and changes, do them now. That's what this season will be for. And so, Lawrence, man, I'm thankful for
Oh, there's
you.
one more thing I want
Sure.
to share too.
Yeah,
Can I share this
absolutely.
too?
Absolutely.
Is because I actually just got this during our leadership training with our church. So
Yeah.
I just got this breakthrough and I got to share it. So I think
Yeah.
it's going to help somebody. For those who feel like they missed opportunities in life, we go through life and we do miss opportunities. God tells us to do something, we don't do it, and that opportunity is now closed, right? So, but here's the thing: it's okay.
Mm.
It's okay if we miss. We're if if God is our Father, if He's our Creator, right? Even if we missed opportunities, it's okay. Why? Because opportunities never stop. They never stop coming. As long as we keep living, focus on the opportunity that's right in front of you.
I love it.
And then if you miss those, guess what? When you wake up tomorrow,
We got a brand new opportunity.
you got another opportunity to
Yeah,
focus on, right? So yeah, just it's okay.
man, I love that so much. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for your authenticity. Thank you for living the life that you do. Thank you for impacting the people that you do, for encouraging the people that you do. Do me a favor, tell people how they can connect with you on social media and connect with your inspirational information that you give out. And he did some spoken word at the men's event. So you might
Yeah.
want to ask Lawrence, y'all. Y'all might want to ask Lawrence if you have an event, if he would come and do some spoken word for you. But tell people how they can connect with you, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Man. If y'all want me to do some spoken word poetry, I would love to do it because I really feel like at this point in my life, that is something that's been knocking at the door of my heart to start back doing it because that's a part of my healing journey. Yeah, I feel like I have to do it. This is like my life depends on it, right? My mental state depends on it, so I have to do it. So, uh, reach out to me via email. I am Mr. Optimistic at gmail.com. Um, Follow me on Instagram, Lawrence WJ Inspires. Lawrence WJ Inspires on Instagram as as well as on TikTok as well. Facebook, Lawrence Washington Jr. I yeah, I'm about to start back. Well, I've started back, posting more, but I mainly post a lot of my stories. So follow me on Instagram so that you can get some type of inspiration. I am really heavy in the lane of in empowering fathers now. I I want to create a fit fathers club, where fathers are really focused on developing themselves mentally, spiritually, as well as physically, right? So that we can continue to lead the way that God has called us to lead. So yeah, follow me, reach out to me, and let's connect and let's just build together.
Awesome. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Once again, hey, for those of you who are hanging out with us, I posted this on both of my channels. So you can catch us on Belonging Life. You can also catch us on Habits, Appetites, and Decisions. And for the ministry page, you can go to thedig.org. That's 2 G's. There, all of this information will be there. If you missed any of it, you need to replay it. You want to hear it back, or you need to be able to pass it along to somebody else. Listen, make sure that you do that. My name is Demetrius Colbert. And again, I'm the host of this podcast. I'd like for you as well to take the opportunity to follow me on TikTok. You can find me there, Demetrius.Colbert, right? And Belonging Life Bible Study. You can also find me and the same name on Instagram. And again, as I gave you my website now for my coaching, just go to DemetriusColbert.com. All this stuff will be in the link of the show. And I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to connect with you all. Lawrence, I appreciate you, man. You
Thanks for
are
having me, man. Appreciate you.
amazing man of God. And I'm excited for your future and the future. And this won't be the last time, man, that we sit down and chop it up and connect and encourage people. So thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you, man. I really do. This was therapeutic.